All right, welcome to the SEO GEO AI Visibility News for week 22, which is last week. I know I've skipped a few weeks. I've been busy, been doing a bunch of things. A lot of things have gone. I'll try and also mention, but I do have a bunch of news that I've gathered from last week, which is week 22. So let's just jump right into those and see if we can find something cool. First off, Aleta Solis come out with a cool traffic versus AI citations analysis here. Again, what stood out for me here is uh, organic is still the most scale channel, right? 20% of visits versus 0.19. Again, grain of salt, always grain of salt. That doesn't mean like just because you're getting 0.19%, how many people discover your brand? So visibility is huge. It's just we have a huge tracking problem. We don't have access to all prompts, so we don't know if you're being seen a lot. But definitely people might be seeing you, and then there's just way less traffic coming in from those. So again, just worth noting. And then interesting that AI citations are more distributed across category search listings compared to organic, which makes sense. They do fan out queries to try and catch different intents, perhaps. I think that's probably what we're seeing here. So quite interesting. But have a read at this research. Good stuff. Also, SERP it's been around. I wasn't aware of this. Um, it's a web browser built for SEOs. And apparently, it was somebody shared on Twitter that they found an issue with the page or something that they would never have found on their own. So quite a good browser, I suppose. Quite good checks. Here's the thing. I'm in-house, so I can narrow my focus and really get into the nitty-gritty. If you're an agency or a consultant, then this browser might be for you. I might not consider paying for it at least because I have time to really dig through things. But very cool stuff. Also, not Aleta Solis, Lily Ray here, talking about on LinkedIn. Let's see here, talking about preferred sources in Google, and Google is apparently sharing advice on you should be asking your readers to put you in as preferred source, which is really interesting. Um, so that's a good tactic, but now it expands beyond news, so you can actually do this for a bunch of other sites. So that's a big deal, I would say. So definitely have a look at the tips there that Google is sharing, um, and do it perhaps yourself, especially if you're like not news, but maybe media or just posting a lot of news, etc., etc. News related content, so to speak. Um, all right, yeah. So here we got specifications. So this is a platform agnostic spec of what a good website does. So I thought this was really, really interesting. Again, I've shared this with our developers, but a lot of the things we already know from just working in SEO. But I do like agent readiness, resilience, privacy, all this stuff. The rest, maybe security is maybe not well-rounded in many cases. Internalization as well. But definitely these two are interesting for me at least. But yeah, overall, really, really good project here. So have a look at that as well. And boy, oh boy, there is a new Chrome Lighthouse Agentic Browsing test. So you can see here, and again, Lighthouse, this is in Chrome DevTools. So you basically just right-click, inspect, and you get Lighthouse up here. I don't have it because I need to update my Chrome. So yeah, you can always go into settings here, go to settings, boom, and then you can see which Chrome version you have and update it. But that's really cool. If Google is coming out with this, we should probably check it out and make sure we pass all the tests. And then apparently some people at least, are seeing AI overviews being replaced by the featured snippet. Remember that good old snippet? Which is super interesting. People actually ranking well in AIO, and now they're not, and a featured snippet replaced them, or maybe the opposite. Again, always losers and winners in these situations. What's really interesting, I think it's because Google is post core update to the May one. It seems what I think is happening here is it costs. I read somewhere it cost Google like 100 times more to generate an AI answer than just a regular search result, which makes sense. It's costly, and for these kind of like non-commercial queries, are they even getting any benefit? Just throw in a featured snippet. It might answer it even better, and that was working, and it was the holy grail of answers because you don't just get enough so you want to click. So I think it's a cost efficiency thing. Use AI for more product oriented because then you can throw in ads, you can make more money. Cheers. So that's probably why it's happening. As well, a really good piece here from Gianluca Forelli. I never get his name right. But it's lovely though. But Aleda Soli shared this, and again, not going into detail, but it's about spam in the AI in the age of AI search. Why would you read about spam tactics in the age of AI? That's a good question, Fred. All right. The reason for that is you want to be able to detect it if you get a client, and then you get a client that's like, "Oh, we're tanking in the search results." Well, I first look for red flags, right? Anything really spammy that's been done, and now it helps identify it. So always read up on your spam tactics, because they might have been doing it willingly or unwillingly and unknowingly. So that's why I think it's important to read up on this stuff. And yeah, great piece by Fiorelli. Also, big SEO news. Google has posted an LLMs.txt to their Chrome developer site, and even saying without this file, agents may spend more time crawling the site, etc. Blah blah blah. It says it's an emerging convention, but still, the problem is they also put out debunking myths about AI, where they're like, "Haha, LLMs text not necessary." People from Google have even come out and kind of mocked us, like, "Yeah, you don't need that." Here's the thing. I told clients to set it up because it's super easy to set up and create, cost nothing, and it doesn't hurt you. So I was like, well, we might as well try and do it. And if models catch on that people are actually doing this, they might go, hey, we should try and see if we can fetch these. So there's, it's a small win, but zero loss kind of situation. So that's why I'd still recommend it, but it's not a priority. But now, like, Google is actually talking about it. The tables have turned. This one. Okay, this one is very interesting. So Chris Long from Nective, he created an AI instructions page, and apparently it's being cited quite well in ChatGPT. And there's another link here for how it's being shown in Gemini. Apparently, it's almost the only source in Gemini, and he's using crazy and a lot of exclamation marks, which is great. Here's the thing: be careful. This seems like it's an exploit. It seems like it's too easy. And again, he's probably doing this in a very white hat way. Just, hey, this is what we do. This is when we found it. So he's giving it instructions on how to represent them, which is great. I think that's a good thing. And AI, you can ground information that way. AIs can ground information, but you can also just add, hey, we want this award, we want that award, we're this big, and convince people, well, okay, so you kind of, it feels like an exploit that will be exploited. And the problem is, if you're doing this in a white hat way, completely legit, good instructions, and more people start doing it to game the system, it'll be marked as a red flag, maybe even a negative quality signal by models, by Google maybe. And when that happens, you'll be marked as well, even though yours might have been legit. So I think it's quite risky to do here. I wouldn't do it, honestly. I'd look, well, where does it find the information and is it correct? And then let them worry about it, but not try and influence it this way. Sounds almost like prompt injecting without the hidden part. But yeah, still pretty interesting experiment. Big research on Google searches and how AI overviews are changing user behavior. Interesting stuff. This is very much user behavior, which has changed. I mean, AI overviews will make you scroll differently, et cetera, et cetera. So worth getting into, especially for large e-commerces that have a lot of like SERPs and SERPs, a lot of keywords and a lot of impressions, and you want to kind of figure out how to win. But overall, a big thing here I learned is titles and meta descriptions matter more than before, and that's I agree with that. They also, I've read they're also part of the decision making of AIs. Like if they search something, well, we've got 30, 40 sources. Which ones are more relevant to what I want before I even open the URL? Because it's everything you do is costs now. So I think that's interesting as well. Also, what drives AI citations? And here's an analysis of 2 million AI citations across 10,000 pages from Discovered Labs. So very interesting stuff there. Quite a good analysis. Top things that stood out to me: prompt content alignment makes sense. If people search for a prompt and it closely matches one of your headings, which could be a question, yes, good, that section has a higher chance. That makes sense. Should we create headings and content that matches the prompts you might have seen? yes and no. I think it's also like if a customer of yours, an audience of yours, ask a question, answer it, right? And answer it in a good way. And I think that's enough. But again, that's kind of the same thing here. What's really interesting is AI perceived domain authority 6 times more influential than the strongest non-alignment page level feature. Again, I'm so excited. So off-page authority is still important, um, and non-alignment page level, by the way. But here's an AO checklist that stood out for me. It's like FAQ blocks has an influence, TLDR has an influence, schema, page speed, author bias, exact. They yield measurable citation lift, etc., etc. But have a read of this. Like this is good stuff. And again, if you feel like doing something just for AI citations take away of the quality and user friendliness of your content, then don't do it. I think that's my rule of thumb. We're still doing this for users, and AI still far less traffic to models like ChatGPT than Google has. And then finally, last piece here, Google May core update hits hard on Saturday. So yes, we had one in March, core update. I think it was a little bit more targeting listicles and spammy tactics. Not as volatile. It feels like this one is more volatile. We can see, especially on Saturday, it was a high volatility. There's no other, I haven't found anyone like kind of doing some analysis on this yet. But if you like and you subscribe, you could also just subscribe. But you'll get the next weekly video where if I find any of these analyses, we'll go through them, figure out what happened, what we can do about it, what we should be aware of. So yeah, like, subscribe, comment if you have feedback or if you liked it. And for all you SEOs and AEOs out there, have a lovely week, and I'll see you all next week.